Hi everyone, Aidan here at the etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Timbren Suspension Enhancement System on our 2022 Ford Maverick. Now the first thing I want to do is see how the Timbrens perform. We've got the Maverick unloaded right now with stock suspension, nothing's altered. And we want to see where our ride height is. That measurement's going to be from the ground to the top inside edge of the wheel well here, which is going to be coming in right at 34.5 inches. Now at this point, we're going to load up the bed, see how much it drops it down, and then go through our test course and see how it performs. And here's the weight that we have loaded in the bed. We've got 9 5-gallon buckets full of road salt and 2 bags of concrete off to the side. Easily a couple hundred pounds loaded up. And the next thing we got to check is what the suspension is doing, seeing how much it's dropping already. Now, from that same point, we're going to be dropping down to 33.5 inches. So that is an inch of difference. Not a whole lot of drop from this weight, but I expect we'll see a lot of difference in how it handles. So right away as we're taking off in the parking lot here, I can definitely feel the weight in the back of the truck. Just the whole way it feels, you can feel a bit of a sag in the back, like something heavy is back there. Now going over the speed bumps and everything, I'm not feeling too much of a difference. It's not super aggressive, but I definitely feel like it's slow to correct. And you can feel the weight back there kind of struggle to course correct and come back to its natural state. Now, as we're driving, it's important to probably point out that this isn't even fully loaded. If you had something like a trailer hooked up, or even more weight in the bed, maybe some passengers in the back, that would change the overall experience quite a bit. Now, on the side to side, things definitely feel like they're swaying a lot, like they're slow to correct, and overall, like we're not getting as much support from the suspension because all that weight back there is just bringing the whole vehicle side to side a lot more than I would want it to. Now with everything run through the test course, we're going to actually get the bed unloaded and install the new suspension. We're going to let you see the after footage right away though, so we're going to have a bit of a time jump, and later we'll show you how we got them installed. And with the install done, all the weight back in the bed like we had it before, I'm going to take that same measurement and compare it. Now I already peeked underneath and saw how much we were sagging down. So we're at 33.5 inches, just where we were before. We're not making contact with the Timbrens as I saw underneath, so we're not going to be improving our ride height here. What I do expect is that we'll see a considerable difference in how it feels when we're driving. That's important to point out because if you're looking for this for a towing application to bring you back to that factory ride height, Timbrens probably aren't the way. It's really going to be more for the comfortable towing experience, and then when the weight is not in the bed, we're not going to feel them because they're not making contact. If you want something that's going to bring you back to that factory ride height, consider checking out some airbags. So initially driving, I'm not noticing much of a difference yet, but we're approaching the speed bumps, and that's where I'm expecting we're going to really start feeling that difference with the Timbrens installed. And going over the speed bumps with the same speed I was before, about 9-10 miles an hour, I'm definitely feeling better support. It's a lot less bouncy now, and I'm feeling much quicker correction. So whenever it hits those Timbrens, they start to engage. I feel like it's pushing the vehicle back to where it's naturally riding a lot quicker. So the bumps are a bit sharper in a way, but they're quicker to correct. So it's a much more defined bump than something that has a lot of sag and just slow correction. Now approaching the side-to-side action of the course, I definitely feel more support here. There is that initial bit of body roll where the vehicle seems like it's wanting to kind of sway to one side, but I almost feel like it kind of catches it. So I can feel the Timbren engage, it's pretty smooth, and I can feel where it starts to support and stop that body roll from happening. So I can imagine that with more weight in the bed, maybe towing a camper or something, that the Timbren would probably be engaged already, if not a lot quicker, and we would feel much less of that sway to begin with. But with only a couple hundred pounds in the bed, we're really not feeling a whole lot of engagement right off the bat, so it does take a little bit to engage it. Now, the suspension enhancement system from Timbrens is going to be a great way to upgrade your suspension. Like you saw in our before and after testing, it does make a good difference in the overall ride quality of your vehicle, especially if you've got weight in the bed, or you've got a hitch and a trailer, some sort of weight that's bringing the back end down. Now, some of the advantages of having that extra support here is that we're going to get better stopping power. It aims our headlights better because when you've got that weight in the back without support, it brings the back end down and the front end up. So it aims our headlights up at night. It reduces the contact that our front tires are making on the ground, which reduces our stopping power, and overall just decreases the quality of your ride. Having the extra support helps with all those things and makes for a more comfortable driving experience. Now, the Timbrens are going to be a direct bolt-on installation. No drilling is required, and I can say confidently after installing multiple sets of Timbrens on different vehicles that these are some of the easiest ones I've ever done. We'll get to that in just a bit, but if you're worried about the installation process and how involved it's going to be, it's not going to be very involved at all. Very straightforward, and if you're looking for something simple, that's a great way to go. Now, like we mentioned before, this isn't going to be the best support for all the time towing. That's really something that's more going to be for airbags because they're always installed. You always have to have some sort of maintenance pressure in them to keep them maintained, and then it's going to provide much better support for towing applications. But if you're not towing all the time, you're really just looking at these for on the side. Maybe you're doing some weekend projects at home or towing occasionally. Maybe you've got a small pop-up camper, something like that. It's going to be a great option because when they're not engaged, you really don't feel them. It just feels like your normal factory suspension. But when you do need them to engage, they do. And that progressive spring rate, where it's a little bit softer at the start and a bit more aggressive at the end when they're more compressed, is going to help bring that back end up whenever we do need it to. The hollow rubber material is what gives it that progressive spring rate. It's going to be very durable and last for a long time in various different climates and be resistant to things like road salt. And with this suspension enhancement system, it's going to be a little bit taller. Timbren does make two kits for the Maverick. You've got the regular suspension enhancement system, the one you're checking out right now, and then the active off-road version. Both of them are going to install the exact same way. The only real difference here is that the bracket for the suspension enhancement system is a bit taller and the active off-road version is a lot shorter. That is going to give you a little bit more travel of your factory suspension, so if you are maybe using your Maverick for some off-grid camping and you need it to have a bit extra travel for off the beaten path kind of driving, then that could be a good option. They won't engage as quickly, so if you're using it for more on-road towing applications, maybe not your best option, but that is going to be there as an alternative option if you don't need the full suspension enhancement system. But now, with that being said, I have mentioned the installation process a couple times. It's very straightforward and simple, so let's check out that process together now. Now, before we head underneath the vehicle, we need to do a little bit of pre-assembly up top. You're going to have two main pieces with your kit, the mounting bracket and the Timbren itself. You need to mount these two pieces together, but there is a certain way to do it. So on the Timbren, you'll notice that one side has this metal insert, and the other side is a little bit more open. And if I shake it around, you might be able to see there's a washer inside there. Probably hard to see on camera, but it's in there, and we want to make sure that it's laying flat on the bottom so that we can take the larger bolt included with our kit, drop it down through that larger opening, pass through the washer and the metal ring on the Timbren itself. Again, this part is maybe a little easier said than done, but play around with it for a little bit, get it to pass through, and poke out the other side. And once that passes through, that's going to pass through the top hole of our bracket here. Now, it's important to note that these brackets are side specific, so if I flip this one over, you'll see it says left. That means it's for the driver's side. Another good way to tell here is if I hold it where this top face is flat and level, you'll notice that this bottom mounting surface is slanted. That's because whenever we have this mounted up on the vehicle, like this part will be a little bit slanted, making the top surface level. So the passenger side is just a mirror image of this. So drop that down through. You'll see the threads poking out through the bottom here. And it's going to be another spot where it's a bit tight, but we need to get a flat washer and a lock nut on there. So I'm just going to try to get it in place by hand, and I'll show you what it looks like after I've got everything in place, because it's going to be hard to show you on camera here with my fingers in the way. Now, once this is hand tightened, we'll need to come back through with some tools, an 18mm wrench on the nut here, and then for the bolt on the inside there, we'll hold that in place with an 11/16 socket and tighten it all down. Now the instructions don't give any specific torque specs, but tighten it down until it's nice and snug. No need to over tighten it. And once those two are joined together, nice and firm, we can go underneath the vehicle and get it installed. Now, as far as the installation goes underneath, you can raise your vehicle up a bit. If you've got a hitch, you can lift it by that. Just make sure to chalk the front wheels, have the e-brake on, and use some jack stands for safety. But you've got enough room under here where you don't have to do that if you don't want to. There's actually a fair amount of room. And we're going to be working all right here next to our coil springs. So just on the inside of that for each end. Now, the first thing you want to do is take a trim panel tool. Something like this will do the trick, but it's going to be a lot more difficult and they don't work as well. Something like this with the forked end is going to be your best bet. And there's going to be two clips holding in this brake line. We just want to go through and pop both of those up. And then the one in the middle here is going to be a bit bigger, maybe a little harder to pop out, but overall it's just the same process. That's going to get remounted in just a bit, but for now I'm going to tug it back here. Now we can take the fully assembled Timbren and get it mounted up, matching the curve of that control arm there. So just set that in place. And there's going to be two mounting holes. So I'm actually going to pass our hardware through first. These two holes are going to be our mounting holes. The very outside one here, that's going to be pointing towards the front of our vehicle, that's going to be for remounting one of those clips. But the two holes here, we're going to take our smaller bolts, pass them down through the top on either end, set those in place so they drop down through those pre-existing holes, follow it up underneath with a flat washer and another lock nut. Do that for both sides and we'll tighten it down. You can use a 1/2-inch wrench and socket. And again, just tighten them until they're completely snug. And once that's tight, we'll repeat that for the back mounting location as well. This one is maybe a little harder to reach, but overall, it's the same process. When it's all tightened down, you can take this plastic clip, push it into the bracket in that hole we showed you before. And then out front, where the brake line was originally mounted, there's going to be a matching factory hole on the other side. Remount that other clip to the other side. And that will hold it out of the way of the Timbren. And once you're done on this side, just repeat all that on the passenger side. It's going to be the same exact process, just a mirror image, and a little bit easier because you don't have your exhaust in the way. And that was our look at an installation of the Timbren Suspension Enhancement System on our 2022 Ford Maverick. Thanks for watching.